I'm going to be going over what is called possession, or it's really known as invoking. There is evoking and invoking, or the stereotypical position for invoking. Evoking is different from invoking. There's another form of invoking that's called avatar. That's completely different than invoking. There's a difference. So, I have someone who watches who's going through evoking, but it's against her knowing or not being given the choice to invoke. It kind of just happens. That is possession. I'm saying it for how it is, but however, though, we'll take it from the top first, then we'll go down and work into that. Evoking is when you call out to, petition, or seek the audience of. Meaning that, say, if I was going to evoke hell, I would first have to get an area for her to be able to appear in. And second of all, there's two ways that you can evoke something. First way, by incense. Second way, blood. Like a blood sacrifice of some kind or an animal sacrifice of some kind. Modern day, you're probably not going to get away with doing the second one. You can, but for me, I cannot do that because I'm a strong believer in I have no right to take life away from anything that's living, unless I have to do it to survive or defend myself. Other than that, I don't have the capability or the decency to take it upon myself to have something or someone completely innocent lose their life for another entity to be happy about it or to interact with an entity. I don't do that. Incense, for some strange reason, it's still not really known why it happens this way, but with incense smoke, you're able to see through the smoke on the other side, if that makes sense. And the entity appears from the smoke. But if you also have like a really potent third eye, and if you're in tune with yourself, you can easily pick up on where the entity is. And I've gotten better than it was, like, say, when I first was interacting with hell. I'm a lot better now. Back then, it was just like, didn't even know what the heck was going on. Because it comes over time when you're being able to detect stuff. Pretty soon, you'll be able to know something's going on over here, something's going on over there. And if you watch some of my previous videos, you may see me still talking about the topic on the video, and then all of a sudden I just go like, I saw that, or like, hey, quit it, randomly. That's because I'm picking up on something. And that comes in time. And that's evoking. You're calling out to an entity to appear and come towards you. Now here's the thing. You need to do your research, depending on what entity you're going to evoke or have come close to you. All entities, by rule of thumb, unless if you've worked with them for a long time and you've built a history with them and you have your boundaries set up, treat every entity that you're first going towards, you treat them as if you don't trust anything that they do. I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm not saying this to be cruel. I'm not saying this to be inconsiderate. You go towards it with your defenses up. You don't trust it at all. Don't even care if it's like if you're trying to petition or call out to Christ himself, he appears. you do not trust it until it's proven that you can trust it. I'm just saying it for the best interest of you. You come first, not whatever you're trying to contact. That thing comes last. You come first. Because if something happens to you, you're done, not that. That's just how it is. Don't have to like it. That's the harsh reality of it. The best way to learn something is to be told this is how it is. Make sure you take care of yourself, otherwise something bad's going to happen. I'm not saying it to scare you. I'm saying it because you need to know it. So, you evoke an entity. Comes towards you. Make sure you're protected and you're confident and strong within yourself. But at the same time, too, be mindful and considerate. While you're interacting, do whatever you need to do, and as soon as you're finished with your interaction, thank it and dismiss it. If it doesn't go when you dismiss it, you tell it, okay, we're done here. You may leave. Please leave. Be stern about it. That's how you're going to get its respect. Respect from an entity comes from them understanding that we're being like professional here. This isn't like cutesy, like, okay, I'm done. You may leave. We're done here. And then the entity sees that you turn your back and then it jumps on you. You do not want to give that impression, because that's the last thing you want to have happen to you. An entity thinks that you're an easy target. I'm not saying that they'll do it. It's best just to have everything up and trust nothing until you are for certain. That comes from each person. But once you start getting that repetition into it, and this becomes second nature to be like, okay, we're going to be serious about this, and none of that, that's when, on the other side, the other entities are like, let's not mess with him or her. Let's not be stupid with them, because they don't mess around. It also depends on who the entity is and the whatnot. Now, invoking. Invoking is when you're still calling out to the entity. However, you're pretty much calling the entity to come into your being. And this way, the entity comes in and does work on your behalf through you. Or pretty much the entity comes through, takes control for a period of time, for however deemed fit necessary, does what they have to do, then they go. Possession is the same thing, but with a malefic intent tied behind it. Here's a good example. With Hell, I'm very attached with her. I can vouch numerous times where she has come through just like that and pushed people away. I've been in instances where, I was terrified for myself. She came in and literally scared the other person into backing off. Or, one instance, she came through and pretty much petrified someone. They were stuck in the same position for about 5 minutes. They couldn't move, they just sat there like... That's it. Couldn't do anything. Stuck for 5 minutes. And she can come in whenever. But for me, she only comes in when I can't handle something, or I'm not able to. Or if there's no way that I can handle it, she comes in and takes care of it for me. Possession now is when, say, a malevolent or malefic entity comes in and preys on you and tries to force its way in. And now whenever you have an entity coming in through you and is speaking in a different tone or a different language or is speaking differently, that is when you have to take a moment when it's about to happen. Because you have to remember, if you've watched The Alchemic Mindset, which is why I'm being very adamant with it, you have to watch it. So when you have something like that coming towards and starting to happen to you, in the alchemic mindset, who's in control of you? You. Whose body is this? Yours. Your body is trying to be taken from something that's not you. The only thing that can happen to you is if something happens and you allow it. If an entity is trying to come in and take over, are you going to allow it? Or are you going to tell it, hands off? It's simple, but you can't overthink it. If you're in control of you, you decide what happens, you say how your story goes, you have the final say. Nothing happens if you don't allow it. If an entity comes in and you're like, I don't know you, what are you trying to do? Why are you trying to grope me? Just tell it, stop it, hands off, I don't know you, and I don't want to know you. Scram. Be adamant, you have to stay firm with it. Even what I like to do a lot whenever I encounter an entity that's trying to be cute as in like stupid, I start mocking it. Like, I have a video that's being uploaded too about me against Zozo. I literally started, I believe I quoted in the video, but when it was starting to crawl up my hand, I was literally just going, stop trying to hold my hand, Krieger. Okay, let's see. Stop molesting my hand, it's not cute. Quit it. See? It's mocking it, making it lose patience, and it's going to do something even more stupid and take the wrong step because it's getting agitated and annoyed. When you're agitated and annoyed, there's a higher chance you're going to do something stupid. And that something stupid ended up getting something about like this selenite pen stabbed in its hand while I was trying to go up. Stabbed it to the carpet. And was shrieking like a diabolic schoolgirl. Don't know what to tell her. That's what happens when you know you can't just keep your demonic, fiendish hand to yourself. Don't look at me. I was trying to learn how to use the Ouija board. But someone thought it was cute to go itsy bitsy fiend hand going into the carpet. It's true. Nothing happens if you don't allow it to happen. And if you gotta be feisty, if you really gotta be harsh about it, do it. Put your sense of self first and your well-being first over anything else outside of you. Except again, you gotta be practical here. That doesn't mean that, like say if you're walking and you're minding your own business and then a law enforcement officer comes to you and you're interacting with him and he's trying to figure out what was going on about a situation that you weren't involved in, getting into a feisty attitude towards him, no. You have to adapt to the surroundings you're in. Now though, if you're being wrongfully detained or wrongfully acted on unjustly and illegally by a law enforcement officer, that is different. But still, you have to adapt to the current situation. Because I'm somebody who believes this. If you're wearing the badge, or any kind of indication that you're law enforcement, you have to be on your A game as long as you're on the clock. You have to lead by example. That's it. If you don't need that badge. Easier said than done. Because being in a position like that, you have a huge responsibility. A huge one. And the last thing that anybody wants to hear is that a law enforcement officer severely harmed or killed a civilian over something that was completely unnecessary to have a death happen. But now Avatar is when you and the entity come together as one new unit. I've only heard about that. I haven't practiced that because I feel I don't need that currently. So I don't have much information about it, but that's what it is. So I'd suggest if you're having something overstepping your bounds, just interact with it as a normal person and tell it, what makes you think you can just come into my body and just try and, get extremely close to me like that? What makes you think you have the right to do that? I didn't say you could do that. And furthermore, if something is going to take over your body and start saying gibberish, don't you kind of think, and I would just ask it, if you're going to possess someone or go into somebody's body, why don't you do something that's more productive than just saying, because that's kind of a waste of time. Just saying. Why not do something productive? If you're an entity on the other side, rather than just possess somebody and make them do crazy mouth movements, why don't we take that and bring something into the world to have people look at, admire, be inspired by, and just do something that's just unproductive, waste of time. And it kind of just makes me think, I'm surprised there's not a world's dumbest fiends yet. Because some of the things you see that happen when a negative entity possesses somebody makes you think, wow, I didn't know that if this certain entity who possesses this person, or a certain entity who possesses something or someone, somehow makes it do a Hooter move, which is it turns his head all the way around. Wow. Not bad. I wish I could do that Hooter move too, but no, I can't. And yes, that was a reference to the exorcism. But again, not mocking the actual entity it's alluding to, because that's the entity even being spoken about in that movie is like, what? I don't do that. Are you guys calling me a hooter? No. That's the thing though. If you're going to be making any kind of film, you have to understand who the entity is, what they do, and the whatnot. You can't just be all like, well, this is a demonic entity, and all demonic entities possess people, and they all do this. No. No. Do your research and be mindful and respectful of both sides. Especially on the left side, because on the left-handed side, shockingly, and I attest to this, the left side is far more accepting and far more considerate and far more open-minded than the other. I'm just saying. And if something is more welcoming and accepting than the side that's claiming to do it, there's something wrong there. At least in my opinion, but that's why I'm staying in the middle. So, if you guys would like also for me to kind of demonstrate on how an invoke works. Evoking goes from entity to entity to entity. It's completely different for each entity. But if you'd like me to kind of demonstrate how an invoke happens, just let me know and who, because I can. Hell is I can do pretty. Excuse me. I can do hell. I just have to get in the right frame of mind for her, so that way she doesn't. Yeah. Next is another one. Well, Lilith is another one, but then again, Lilith is sometimes a hit or miss because if you know, she's just nah, not feeling it. Okay, since I can't do Lilith, then she comes in. She just comes in when she wants to. I can do Hera. I just need to regain that connection again. Who else? I'm trying to think of who else I've done. Melone or Melania. I haven't invoked her at all, but first time for everything, right? That's another option. But pretty much, those are like the first few that I'll demonstrate if you're wanting to deem fit. But that's pretty much it for this, and I'm going to be doing another video in like a few minutes about starting to lay down the idiot stick about some things that I think need to be talked about. Kind of like in everyday living, but I'll get into that in the video. So, I'll see you guys in the next one.